In the age of artificial intelligence and large language model, and we start to question what is the most important thing if everything can be replicated so easily. And I remember I've been watching interviews for Steve Jobs, and one thing he said was, it all comes down to taste. What does that mean by taste? We're looking at a website from Stanford University. It looks pleasant, a picture of the main quad. It feels some kind of taste. When I did my undergrad at Cornell, I did computer science. At that time, website isn't like today. Today it's about computers, but back in 2006, it was about something more subtle. It's less about technology. It was more about something deeper inside humanity. This website, which is not a homepage of Cornell, actually says something about Cornell. This video is about Cornell University's campus in Ithaca. The beautiful landscape of the slope of Cornell, the students walking around, the architecture of Cornell buildings built almost 200 years ago. There are many things. And these, to me, demonstrate some level of immersion into the physical world. The fact that we still exist. The fact that digital world can be tied to this physical world. So the questions still go back to, what is good taste? It's a hard question to ask. What is good taste? If you go to Apple website today, you will see a bunch of products. iPhone, watch, TV. All of these things, if you compare the website today with what we have back in 2006, website of Apple Store, you notice a huge difference. And of course, the website we're seeing today that we take for granted are more refined. You will say it has good taste, but still, if you don't do any comparison, even the Apple website may not seem to be that attractive. It's just another thing. Apple releases iPhone every year, from iPhone 7 all the way to iPhone 17 Pro. It's a formula. It is a nice video, it's a very refined design, but still, there's something that's just like predictable, that's replicatable. And over time, you start to lose interest in that kind of presentation. So what is good taste? And to me, a good taste is actually a combination of the elements, the design, the refinement, and it has to be connected to the context, the dimension about time, to where we are, to what other things are around us, to what kind of message we're at. And all these things together contributes to what is a good taste. Let's take a deeper look at a website from 20 years ago. Look at Nike website. It is very, very pioneered, right? You don't find it very different from today's website. Look at McDonald's. It's very different. The pictures are from the early 2000s, where people are using front page to build a website. Fast forward to 2010. It's a little bit different. Fast forward to 2014, 2018, and 2022. There's a little bit difference. And you can see that. All of these are connected to the time dimension. Well, let's go back again. Apple Store, 2006, typical e-commerce website from that time. Fast forward 4 years, it was looking nice. 2012, like that. In 2014, they did a redesign, and that made a world. In 13, This Apple Store was a little bit cleaner, and then all the way to where we are today. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how the design and how the taste factor actually evolves over time. What about the early 90s, where internet was just at its infancy? There wasn't many websites in 1993. Everything was pretty much text-based, very rudimentary. And then in 1995, when internet actually started to boom, all these websites, if you look at today, you're like, well, this is a website made by a bunch of elementary students. But if you look at a little bit deeper, you will appreciate, although the design part or the visual part is very rudimentary, you will start to appreciate the text because there's no other distraction. And there's a defined way of accessing the information. All these hyperlinks. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see what a taste is. What constitutes a good taste? Compare CNN from 30 years ago to what it is today. What's set as apart? That's a unique part. That taste cannot be easily replicated. If we say the product has good taste, a website has good taste, it defines something that's unique, something that's really deep, something that cannot be replicated. For example, if you look at Hacker News today, and by the way, this website hasn't changed for 10 years or even longer. But if you look at the website, it is actually very efficient. It doesn't have other information. It doesn't have a bunch of visual. It only has text, hyperlinks. It is about simplicity. And to me, this is actually good taste. Because we're surrounded by a website that has too many visualizations, too many pictures. So design or visual telling or storytelling, it is something that cannot be defined by templates. It is something that has to be offered with depth, deep thinking, fundamentally linked to humanity. This is a website of Aman, luxury hotel chain. I do like their philosophy, right? The philosophy is that hospitality and local culture can be deeply linked to humanity. That we're focusing on the sensation, that we're centered, grounded. What we remember is not marketing slogan, these big principles. What we remember are something that's accessible from this physical world that can be felt, sensed by this physical world. In this era, we're at 2026, that the sensations, that the physical senses, that the ability and the space and the opportunity actually give ourselves a siloed, standalone time is a luxury. And that is a demonstration of good taste. It feels very appealing. Something that it doesn't give you fatigue. It's different from when you're looking at a social media website, when you're checking on your phone, when you're bombarded by all sort of information. It is different because it gives you the sense of being in the present, even when you're looking at a screen. And to me, that is a good taste. The sound, the visual, it invites you to actually go deeper into what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like. And that's a luxury. So taste is a luxury. Think about it. Taste is luxury. Luxury is not about how complicated, how complex, how refined, something that cannot be replicated template. But taste is about something that's truly unique. Taste is about something that's truly lacking in this world, in this current era, in this current society. That was defined as taste. So if you ask me, if you go back to Stanford website, if we go back to Stanford, if you go back to the center of Silicon Valley, if you go to the center where all these large language model and AI technology are created, invented, widely adopted, and you start to think about people's questioning on everything can be replicated, all the products can be easily replicated. There is no secret sauce anymore. But if you tie that to what we just discovered, you will realize that the biggest moat, it is not about the technology, it's not about the process, it's not about the cost where you can replicate something. It's something that cannot be occupied, cannot be attacked by ever-changing world. Because what we're looking for is scarcity. What we're looking for is that exceptional uniqueness. And there's no way you can defeat taste. There's no way you can defeat luxury. And when there is luxury, it brings you expectations, high hopes about the future, about what you can be. It gives you that kind of pleasure. And that is something that other companies, other products, other new technologies never be able to penetrate. So taste, remember that. Taste is eternal. Taste can be manifested in many different forms. But whoever are able to manage that fundamental level of understanding taste will always have that unique advantage, or that eternal moat. No matter what external changes, no matter how intense competitions are. So when you're designing your product, when you're designing a company, when you're creating a business, when you're asked by venture capitalists about what sets you apart, the best answer is that taste. It's something that cannot be replicated. It's something that's truly meaningful to humanity, to this physical world. With that, I would like to conclude my episode. Thank you, everyone.